'Twas Not So Long Ago, currently in stores, is a film that perhaps the whole world adores. The video essay about to be told discusses the holiday classic of old. Now you probably wonder where my opinion in this video comes from. If you don't, I'd say it's time you begun. The limbo has officially started. It is October. Hooray! You know what that means. Hallowthankmas has officially started. We are barraged with commercial holidays not once, not twice, but thrice. It is not only a time of year where it's hard to keep up socially, but also financially. I want to do spooky stuff with my friends at Halloween. I want to see the Christmas lights with my friends, but my wallet says no. There's so much to do and prepare for. All of it which costs money. Putting the holiday dread aside, I really love Halloween for its quirky, spooky nature, Thanksgiving for its absolute warmth and food, and Christmas for the holly jolly of it all. At this moment, I am embracing the Halloween season, or the spooky season as the kids are calling it, with all of my heart, but every year there is something that absolutely bothers me. I, Mitch the Dragon, hereby declare that I am sick of the Nightmare Before Christmas. I feel like I need to start this controversial opinion with a disclaimer. I love The Nightmare Before Christmas. I know my intro just made it sound like I absolutely loathe this movie, but this could not be further from the truth. As a young dragon, this was my favorite movie. I played it on repeat and repeat. I am sure my entire family was absolutely sick of this film. I can most likely still quote the film line for line for you right now. But I won't, but I probably could. I am a huge fan of stop motion animation, and that all stemmed from this film, and this film is so very impressive. Being the first ever feature-length stop motion film ever made is nothing to sneeze at, and it only furthers the art of stop motion animation. But not just stop motion animation, but animation as a whole, and this film also completely jump-started Laika. Nightmare Before Christmas walked, so Coraline and Paranorman could run. Here's the part where I gush about The Nightmare Before Christmas. The voice work in The Nightmare Before Christmas is beyond iconic. Each character's voice is so very important and so very distinct. In addition to this, all of the character designs are so very unique and memorable. From the tall, thin frame of Jack Skellington to the glowing sack of bugs that is Oogie Boogie, the characters just lend themselves to being memorable, beloved characters. Heck, these character designs even cause political commentary, like with the two-faced politician of The Mayor. The score by Danny Elfman is probably his magnum opus, a score that would actually benefit from a Broadway adaptation. I honestly wish that Danny Elfman would write more musicals. While I do personally think that Corpse Bride was a swing and a miss in terms of memorable musical theater, I would love to see more musicals that really showcase his lyrical and instrumental genius. He thought outside of the box with The Nightmare Before Christmas and in turn created something super interesting in the process, songs that will be remembered for centuries to come. From the Christmassy whimsy of What's This to creating literally the Halloween national anthem in This Is Halloween. These are just a few reasons that I love The Nightmare Before Christmas. It is such an important film that not only shaped animation but shaped me as I grew up. The movie was my obsession for many years of my youth, and I still can turn it on and be transported back to the nostalgic days of childhood. That's why I provided this disclaimer. But there are so many video essays praising Nightmare, so I'm here to say what I'm about to say with the absolute most love and care for this film. I am absolutely sick of it. Not to be a hipster, but I liked The Nightmare Before Christmas before it was cool. Now, the purpose of this essay is not to gatekeep, but let me explain myself. The Nightmare Before Christmas is what we would call a cult classic. It is a film that did not do well upon release. Critically, it did fine, but financially, it only made a moderate amount of money at the box office. In fact, I would always talk about this film with my elementary school peers as a child. But surprise, surprise, a lot of them had never heard of it before in their entire lives. I think the important thing about this film is that it started very humble. It was not popular upon release. It really is what one would call a sleeper hit. A sleeper hit describes a film that performed moderately upon release but gained popularity throughout the years. Some examples of sleeper hits include Rocky Horror Picture Show, The Thing, and Hocus Pocus to name a few. That definitely describes the film. Way back in the early 2000s, nobody knew about this film. I felt like it was my own special movie, and now everyone and their grandmother knows about this film. But how did that evolution exactly happen? How does a film make a journey from being this underground film to having Jack Skellington underwear in every Walmart? Well, this is a tale as old as time. Cult classics that tend to be beloved by few and then receive a second life on home video. When a film such as The Nightmare Before Christmas is released on home video, it gives a second chance for discovery. Thus, home video spread the film to a much wider audience, and it gained enough popularity for Disney to take notice. Thus, Disney decided to re-release the film finally under their banner as opposed to Touchstone Pictures, which they originally released the film under, due to them thinking that the film would be too frightening for children. This re-release was in 2006 and was in Disney Digital 3D. The re-release proved successful, thus they did it every year since then till 2009. It was from this point that the film started to join the public consciousness. As a Mystery Science Theater 3000 fan, I know how passing along and recommendations go a long way. Look at A Christmas Story. Even the smallest projects can become household names with the right grassroots campaign. However, Nightmare really took off once Disney realized the mass appeal of this film. However, here's the thing. This film was not made for everyone. It has its own brand of creepy stylization that was not always popular with your average everyday moviegoer. However, there's one place where the strange and unusual who love that sort of thing like to gather. Okay, hear me out. I am about to give a lot of credit for the Nightmare Before Christmas growth, especially to Hot Topic. Yes, you heard me right, the mall store, Hot Topic. Here's how. Disney did not create a lot of merchandise for this film upon initial release. However, in the early 2000s, Disney put out a light to moderate amount of Nightmare Before Christmas merchandise, kind of putting out a feeler, and they strategically placed it in places where fans of the film would find it. But who were the initial fans of The Nightmare Before Christmas? Well, to put it bluntly, the goth and alternative viewership. And what store do the goth and alternative crowd show up at least in the early 2000s? Hot Topic, of course, a store full of warm embrace for the goth aesthetic. I actually distinctly remember as a child going into Hot Topic with a beloved family friend whom is still very much a part of our family. She fits the bill, alternative to the brim, and upon walking in I remember seeing the Nightmare Before Christmas merchandise on the shelves, and I was flabbergasted. I was so very excited, and Hot Topic became my favorite store in the mall because it had merchandise for this thing that I personally held so near and dear to my heart. Long story short, they placed it very strategically. Now, not only people who love Nightmare Before Christmas will find this merchandise, but also it will make new fans of the same type because they also frequent those stores, thus spreading the love of Nightmare Before Christmas between one goth teen to another. However, Hot Topic was just the beginning of this expansion of merchandise. Around this time, they also had released 2 video games, one that acted as a prequel and one that acted as a sequel to the film, and a seasonal overlay for the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland. That last one was a pretty big deal as it was Disney finally admitting what they were given by Henry Selick was gold. It finally broke their streak of denial. Now all of these things sound reasonable, don't they? I mean, video games, a Disney attraction, reasonably placed merchandise to the access of the niche fans. All of these fit within the normal gamut of products for fans of the project. However, Disney did not stop there. Part of my problem with modern Disney nowadays is that they over-commercialize things. It's all about the product, which, mind you, Disney has always commercialized. However, they have gone from being a studio that makes movies and has a theme park to this juggernaut of popular culture and business. I think early 2000s Disney is in fact very different from current Disney. In the process of all of those years, they have acquired so many properties from Marvel to the Muppets to Star Wars. Disney's goal, it seems, is to own as many properties as possible to fill out their acquisition bingo card. It would be one thing if they cared about all these properties, however, but that's not the case. This is a larger problem that has enough to discuss for a whole separate video. In this case, I'm going to focus on the fact that they have been over-commercializing their art in this recent era and how it particularly affected The Nightmare Before Christmas. I am so very glad that The Nightmare Before Christmas has reached the current popular zeitgeist. I am so happy that Henry Selick's work as a director has become iconic enough to be known throughout every household. However, The Nightmare Before Christmas, as established, is a film that is timeless. It is a small film that is small. A film that knew what it was supposed to be. It started as humble beginnings and has been spread to so many people who connect with the characters and story of this classic. Merchandise is a perfectly acceptable way to express oneself. However, The Nightmare Before Christmas is a dual holiday property, which Disney sees as an excuse to profit. Not only do stores carry Nightmare Before Christmas themed t-shirts and phone cases all year round, they get the chance to profit off of the movies for not one, but both of America's largest commercial holidays. So now in addition to the t-shirts and phone cases, there's now spooky animatronics, Christmas stockings, and inflatables. Lots and lots of inflatables. Not only will you see Nightmare merchandise at Spirit Halloween, but also Walmart, TJ Maxx, Home Depot, CVS, and the list goes on. Now I know what you were thinking. Mitch, you said you loved The Nightmare Before Christmas. Why would all this merchandise celebrating the thing you love so make you sick of it? Wouldn't it do the opposite? Well, very good question. I certainly do love the film. Shouldn't more exposure to the characters make me happy? Well, here's the word of the day. Overexposure. You ever hear the phrase, you can have too much of a good thing? Well, that's how I feel about The Nightmare Before Christmas. The simple, small film holds a certain place in my heart. A place that loves it and wants to watch it again and again. It's a film that deserves to be celebrated. However, overexposure to these characters that are meant to live in this movie has caused me to be incredibly exhausted of them. Earlier I mentioned the thought of merchandise being a celebration of the film. That is preferable. You want merchandise of your favorite property to be officially licensed, high quality, and special. However, when Oogie Boogie is a dog toy and Jack Skellington is on cheaply made plastic cups, you realize that these things are neither high quality nor special. When a character is slapped on every product known to man, the product becomes less special for the consumer, but it also leaves less quality control. The fact that you can find Jack Skellington in dollar stores means that they have stopped caring about quality a long time ago. So not only are we getting thousands of products that may be bad quality, some of these products I think, who are these even for? I'm not here to make a case for telling people what they can and cannot like or enjoy. If you want that Jack Skellington shaped Echo Dot cover, go for it. It may not be my cup of tea, but if it's yours, go to town. Obviously that merchandise resonates with you. However, my whole point is that when there are so many products of these characters who are meant to be timeless, it dates them. It ties them to these really poorly made items. It ties them to the Amazon Echo. It ties them to modern day of over-commercialization of holidays and properties. The upsetting thing is that Disney was so busy monetizing the film for all that they can, but in the process desensitizes the public to their characters and takes a movie that was supposed to be revolutionary for its small size but quirky style and overexposes the public and overhypes the film. Of course, this is not a Nightmare Before Christmas exclusive problem for sure. A Christmas Story, 90s Nickelodeon, and Lilo and Stitch all have these problems as well. Also consider The Simpsons. Also consider SpongeBob. Nostalgia does play a huge role in oversaturation of a market as it creates trends due to people wanting to relive their childhood. And not only that, but adults who grew up with these properties are now having children and introducing their children to these properties, which is great. I'm not here to be a Debbie Downer about introducing your little ones to something you enjoyed when you were their age. Sharing these experiences with your kiddos is precious and valuable. I am just more or less sick of companies taking advantage of nostalgia and families to make a quick buck off of a Sally cookie jar when they know families will buy any merchandise they can get their hands on just because it is their property they like. And of course, this is not a critique of the consumer. Of course, a consumer is going to consume. I mean, look at my hutch of Muppets memorabilia. Trust me, I know all about this. I will never give anyone a problem for liking what they like and enjoying collecting what they would like to enjoy. This is more critique of the company oversaturating this market for a film that is not meant to be this big of a phenomenon to begin with. And when I step into Home Depot to take a look at the Halloween decorations, I want to give other IPs a chance to shine. I want to see more than just Nightmare Before Christmas over and over again. I can only hear Jack Skellington Halloween lights that sing Jack's Lament so many times before I go completely nutso. So yes, I am sick of seeing Nightmare Before Christmas everywhere. It used to be something special I could share with a friend or watch on both Halloween and Christmas. And while it is still those things, it has lost its specialness since these characters appear everywhere. I do not want a Jack Skellington plush from CVS that barely looks anything like him. I want to experience the movie with a friend. I want to listen to the soundtrack at Halloween time. I want to watch a behind-the-scenes featurette on all the phenomenal, fascinating stop-motion work. What started out as a movie that appealed to a certain demographic is being served as if it was made for everyone on a silver little platter, as if Disney always valued this property, as if it was never this completely niche thing. I will always see Jack, Sally, and friends as icons of Halloween and Christmas. However, I can't help but think Disney went overboard with something that has been special to a lot of people. When money is the goal and not art, you will sell just about anything to make an extra buck off a property that was released years ago. Just look at the ridiculous amount of sequels to films that were released years ago that ended up quite disappointing, like Hocus Pocus 2 and Beetlejuice. Nightmare Before Christmas's current fate is that the same, a commercial juggernaut status. Disney has become the very thing that the movie warns against, taking someone else's work and taking it for yourself for your own benefits. I love you, Nightmare Before Christmas, but I am so tired of you being everywhere I turn during the Hallowthankmas season. In other words, I am sick of the Nightmare Before Christmas.